One thing that people may not know from not having been to Las Vegas, if they haven't been, is people will say, hey, you should do these videos outside. There's usually noisy sports cars, sirens, and hundreds of people around you at any given point in time on the Las Vegas Strip. So, as much as I remember the first time I came down here, I was like, yeah, I want to do videos outside. That'd be great. Get a video in front of Planet Hollywood and in front of the Caesar's Palace and have Bellagio and then if you can get rid of all of that, there's always going to be music playing, which of course YouTube would go, hey, that's copyrighted. Cool. It's copyrighted, so this video, all the ads generated will be sending their money over to the artist that recorded that song. Thanks, Shannon. Good job. And then I don't have any control over where the ads go, how many ads might be in a video. I've gone through this. So anyways, from the hotel room, again, let us discuss numbers 10 through 1 of the number 3 draft pick. And this is the first one I've done where I've kind of scratched numbers out and I've kind of gone, So I've gone over this list a few times and now we're going to do this. So this is from 2009 till 2018. Yesterday I saw a lot of people asking where Drew Doughty was. He was drafted before 2009, so he wasn't in that video. It's not all time. All time, that's already done. I already did that video. That's already, in one of my many top 10 lists. So, and then of course tomorrow we'll get back to the more regularly scheduled programming when I get home. Anyways, number 10 on this list of number 3 draft picks. This is number 3 overall. It'd be interesting, too, to do a video on who's made the most money at each draft position. Eric Goodbranson, a guy who makes a lot of money. And third-pairing defenseman, likely, for Pittsburgh this year. He's never really quite reached the heights of what was expected of him. There's another siren. He's never quite reached the heights of what was expected of him when he was drafted. Serviceable, yes. Highly paid for those services, absolutely. And so for me, he's an obvious pick for number 10. Number 9. Now remember, I'm like over 30 floors up, so if sirens are that loud to me, over 30 floors up. Number 9, and he's going to end up moving up. Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Excellent rookie season for him. I think the points are going to come. I think as soon as this year. I think I do this video again 2 years from now where I'm talking about draft picks from 2011 to 2020. He's on the list, and he's higher up than he is right now. So for me, Kotkaniemi's excellent rookie season means that if I'm looking at whose career I'm more impressed with, right now it's Kotkaniemi between he and Goodbranson. And that's how I decide these lists. Which is why it gets tricky, because in some cases a player may have had a really good streak. Like number 8. Was drafted by Arizona. Arizona says, well, we're done with him. We're going to move him. Chicago says, we'll take him. They pair him with DeBrincat, and he's fantastic. So based on that hot streak, I have him ahead of Kotkaniemi. I have him ahead of Goodbranson. And I think the upside is still there for him to score at that level with Chicago for years. But it's a hot streak. And it's not a full season in Chicago. And so I had to kind of weigh that, and he ends up finishing at 8th. And there's another siren. Number 7. And it's not like the sirens stop at night. That's fire truck. That's another thing, too. Here in the area, there's a fire station right in the area. So, number 7, Jonathan Drouin, who is currently with the Montreal Canadiens. He's never quite lived up to his pre-draft billing either. Serviceable top 6 forward. Not the superstar as was expected, again, when he was drafted. And so he's a player that I look at and I say, you know what? Under the right circumstance, he could still flourish. He's young enough that he could still flourish. But with each passing season, the odds of that happening seems to diminish just a little bit. So for me right now, I have Drouin for the body of his work ahead of the other 3 guys below him. Number 6, and this is where it got tricky. is that Alex of the Galchenyuk family has been a 30-goal scorer. Didn't score 30 goals for Arizona last year. Didn't score 20 for Arizona. But he had some good runs, and he has had a 30-goal season on his record. And overall, his career's been solid. Now he's going to be in Pittsburgh, so odds are we'll find out this year whether he belongs above or below Drouin. For right now, I have him above. And again, Kotkaniemi's right here. Kotkaniemi may jump up as well. There are a lot of guys on this board who currently belong to or have belonged to the Montreal Canadiens. So that's the unusual thing with this countdown. And while I was trying to figure out who I wanted to put where, because Galchenyuk at 6, that seems a bit high. And then I looked at the guys below him, and I'm like, nah, that's about where I want him. That's right about where I want him. So we'll see whether or not Galchenyuk has a great season playing for Pittsburgh, probably on the wing. And we'll see if he gets back to that 30-goal form, and he might actually be higher again the next time I do this video. Number 5, and this is where I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, Miro Heiskanen, who played a ton of minutes for the Dallas Stars, was a huge reason why the Dallas Stars got better this year. And while everybody's patting Bishop on the back, and should be, Hudobin's numbers were excellent as well, and Heiskanen looked like a veteran on the ice. This kid's fantastic. So while Rasmus Dahlin, I still think of the rookies that debuted last year, Dahlin's going to be the better defenseman overall. Heiskanen had a great rookie season as well. I can understand why there were Dallas fans who felt he should have got the nod for the Calder ahead of Dahlin. I agreed with Dahlin being the number one guy for that, but at least behind Pettersson, right? So Pettersson gets the Calder, but could you argue Heiskanen should have been the runner-up? There are some that will. And I would argue that Heiskanen was dominant enough that I would put him ahead of these guys right now. Again, Kotkaniemi, we'll talk about this in a couple years. He's likely higher up. The potential's definitely there. I like the kid a lot. But Heiskanen for me is at 5. At 4, one of the first live streams that I did was the draft when the Columbus Blue Jackets took Pierre-Luc Dubois and they left Jesse Puljujarvi out there to be drafted by the Edmonton Oilers. And I thought, are you kidding me? And that was kind of my reaction was, are you seriously? Dubois over Kotkaniemi, over Puljujarvi? That's crazy. It's not crazy anymore. Dubois is the number one center for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He is one of the reasons why, yes, they lost a lot of talent to the UFA market, but they're not as dead as people make them out to be. Remember now, Columbus is dead, is something I said going into the playoffs, and then they swept Tampa. I don't think Columbus is going to make the playoffs, but a lot of that for me is looking at the goaltending. It is not, to me, the fault of their forward group. It is not the fault of Dubois especially. Dubois, I think, is going to continue to get better every single year. I think he's a pretty darn solid center. And if he didn't play in Columbus, if he played in a higher profile city, I think he'd get more recognition than he gets. Number 3. Matt Duchene, who the Nashville Predators have paid a pretty price to in order to draw him to their side of things. And, of course, he left the Columbus Blue Jackets, where Pierre-Luc Dubois is currently. Duchene, he's an up-and-down kind of guy. He has seasons where he has 55, 56, 59 points, and last season he had 70. So what do I expect from him this year? Probably in between. Probably more of not a 60-point season, not necessarily 70. I'd expect probably around 65. And we may discuss Duchene at some point as being overpaid on his contract he just signed, but he's still a very useful top 6 forward. And while his time in Columbus wasn't fantastic, and it wasn't, not during the regular season especially, he played well enough in the playoffs that the Nashville Predators said, all right, this is the guy we want to bring in. Although rumors had tied him to Nashville and Montreal especially for a while. And his year in Ottawa before the trade was fantastic. He was playing very, very well for the Ottawa Senators before that. So Despite all the drama and incidents off the ice, Duchesne was very good on the ice. Number 2. Another Jonathan shows up on the board here. And we're going to Florida with this one. So much like Goodbranson was drafted by Florida, so was Jonathan Huberdeau. Jonathan Huberdeau had a very, very good coming out party this year in Florida. Sadly, because it's the Florida Panthers, not very many people came out to see it, but I think that's going to change this year. I think with Bobrovsky added to that team, I think with a really strong start, I think we'll see attendance turn around for the Florida Panthers this year. And some recognition hopefully given to guys like Huberdeau. Because while we've all talked about Barkov and, oh, he's so underrated, and now we can say Barkov is praised pretty universally, now it's time we give that same respect to Huberdeau. Huberdeau's been pretty fantastic for a team that hasn't been relevant for a while. So yeah, Jonathan Huberdeau's at number 2. Now, if you're playing along at home, you would understand that number 1 is Leon Draisaitl. Now, of his 105 points last year, I think it's 67 of them involved an assist from or an assist to Connor McDavid. You can point at that and say, well, Leon shouldn't be at number 1 because he relies on McDavid. You can also point at McDavid and say he relies on Leon. Using an Edmonton Oilers example, I would go with Jari Kurri. Jari Kurri during the 80s scores 70 goals, and he scored some beauties, but he also scored some that were just tap-ins. So you could make the argument that, well, without Gretzky, Kurri's nothing. Gretzky makes Kurri everything he is. Well, Kurri's a Hall of Famer, and when Kurri left, and he wasn't on Gretzky's wing anymore, Gretzky's numbers fell. That magic they had in Edmonton in the mid-late 80s was never replicated by Wayne, seemingly with anybody else, not on that level. Wayne always put up great assist totals, but really, he never clicked with anybody quite like he did with Jari Kurri. So, to me, Leon Draisaitl, I don't really care that he's had a hard time, breaking away from McDavid, because McDavid can't break away from him either. He is their best player other than Connor McDavid. He is fantastic. And you don't score 50 goals in this day and age as a mediocre player. So there you go. For me, Leon Draisaitl's number 1 on the board. Had to have him there. 105 points and 50 goals. Say he belongs there. And we'll see how this looks in a couple years. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all your support and for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.